What if I told you that some of Hollywood's most beloved black actors lived their entire lives hiding a truth they could never share? On screen, they played roles that made them icons, strong, charming, unforgettable, but off-screen, they carried a secret that could have ended their careers in an instant. In a time when being openly gay meant risking everything, they chose silence, protecting their image while battling their own private struggles. Some took this truth to the grave, leaving fans shocked when the truth finally surfaced. These are the untold stories of 10 black actors who hid they were gay until the day they died. 10. Paul Winfield. Paul Winfield was more than just an actor, he was a legend who gave audiences unforgettable performances. With his Oscar-nominated role in Sounder and powerful appearances in films like Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan and A Hero Ain't Nothing But a Sandwich, he proved that a black actor could carry weight and respect in an industry that wasn't built to celebrate him. But behind the curtain, Winfield lived with a truth he never revealed publicly. For over 30 years, he was in a committed relationship with architect Charles Gillen Jr., yet their love remained a secret from the world. In an era when Hollywood was ruthless to openly gay actors, Paul understood that one slip could end his career and erase everything he had worked for. He carried that silence for a lifetime, never letting fans or the industry know the truth. When Charles passed away in 2002, Paul followed just 2 years later, and only then did the world learn that they were buried side by side, a silent but undeniable statement of love. Paul Winfield's story isn't just about talent and fame. It's about the painful reality of hiding your true self in order to survive. He was a man who gave everything to his craft but couldn't give the world his truth. His name deserves to be remembered not only for his performances, but also as one of the black actors who hid the fact that he was gay until the day he died. 9. Ethel Waters. Ethel Waters was one of the most groundbreaking entertainers of her time. Rising from poverty to become one of the highest-paid black performers in both Broadway and Hollywood, she was a woman who knew how to command attention. With films like Cabin in the Sky and Pinky, she broke barriers for black actresses in roles that had previously been out of reach. Yet, her personal life remained wrapped in silence. Behind the glamour, there were whispers of her intimate relationship with dancer Ethel Williams, a bond so close that it became a fixture of her private world. Still, Waters denied these rumors, often marrying men and later turning to religion as a shield against her past. Hollywood was ruthless to anyone who strayed from the norm, and being a queer black woman in that era was an unthinkable risk. To protect her career, she played the role society demanded, while burying her true identity deep inside. When she passed away in 1977, she left behind a legacy of brilliance, but also a reminder of how much she had to hide. Ethel Waters may have been celebrated for her powerful voice and unforgettable performances, but she also stands as a bold example of the many black actors who carried the burden of secrecy until their final breath. Her story forces us to face the question, how many more talents were forced to silence their truth just to survive in Hollywood's golden age? 8. Sammy Davis Jr. Sammy Davis Jr. wasn't just a star, he was a phenomenon. As a singer, dancer, comedian, and actor, he dominated the stage and screen, becoming one of the most recognizable members of the Rat Pack. He broke barriers as a black man in Hollywood, yet his personal life remained tangled in secrets. Davis married woman, most famously actress Mae Britt, a union that sparked outrage at the time because it was interracial. But even beyond that controversy, there were constant whispers that he had intimate relationships with men. He never addressed the rumors, choosing to play the role that Hollywood demanded of him, a charming ladies' man. His conversion to Judaism added yet another layer of complexity to his public identity, but he never dared to openly live his truth. Davis knew the risks. At a time when being openly gay could destroy a career, he hid behind showmanship and spectacle. To the public, he was the ultimate entertainer. To himself, he was a man silenced by fear and circumstance. Sammy Davis Jr. died celebrated as an icon, yet the truth about his sexuality was buried with him. His story reveals just how much even the most powerful stars had to sacrifice to protect their image. 7. Jermaine Stewart. Jermaine Stewart brought joy, vibrancy, and a carefree spirit to the music and entertainment world. Rising to fame in the 1,980 seconds with hits like We Don't Have to Take Our Clothes Off, he became a beloved pop star whose bold style and energetic presence stood out in an era of larger-than-life performers. But while his music radiated freedom, his personal truth was something he kept quiet. Stewart lived as a gay man, but he never made it a headline, never turned it into a public identity. Instead, he poured his soul into his performances, bringing fun and life to the stage while leaving the deeper parts of himself hidden. The stigma surrounding AIDS and homosexuality in the entertainment industry of the 1,980 seconds and 1,990 seconds meant that being open could have ended his career overnight. Sadly, Stewart's life was cut short at the age of 39 from AIDS-related liver cancer. Though his career was overshadowed by industry bias, his legacy continues as a vibrant reminder of self-expression and joy. Jermaine Stewart never came out publicly, but his art carried pieces of the truth he couldn't speak. His silence makes him yet another black star who kept his sexuality hidden until death. 6. Raymond Street Jock. Raymond Street Jock was a true pioneer in Hollywood. In the 1,960 seconds, he became the first black actor to star in a primetime television drama, breaking into an industry that offered little space for men who looked like him. He appeared in films like Cotton Comes to Harlem and The Pawnbroker, delivering powerful performances that proved black actors could take leading roles with grace and authority. But while his career was trailblazing, his personal life remained a carefully guarded secret. In private, Street Jock lived as a gay man, but in public, he wore the mask that Hollywood required. For decades, he kept quiet, knowing that any admission could end his career instantly. He was admired as a strong, masculine presence on screen. Yet off-screen, he had to hide his truth. When he died in 1990, his sexuality remained largely unspoken, remembered only in whispers. Street Jock's story is a reminder of the heavy price paid by black actors who dared to succeed in an era where their race already placed them under scrutiny. His silence wasn't weakness, it was survival, and like so many others, he carried his truth with him to the grave. 5. Little Richard. Little Richard was fire, flash, and revolution rolled into one. His pounding piano, flamboyant style, and raw energy helped invent rock and roll, changing music forever. On stage, he was unapologetically himself, makeup, sequins, screams, and moves that blurred every line society tried to draw. But when it came to his sexuality, Richard lived in constant conflict. He admitted to relationships with men and embraced his queerness at times, only to later reject it, citing his strict religious beliefs. This back and forth defined his life, a man who could electrify millions but could not fully reconcile who he was. Hollywood and the music industry celebrated him as a star, but never gave him the freedom to be openly gay without judgment. When he died in 2020, the world mourned a legend, but his struggle remained etched into his story. Little Richard's life proves that even the most flamboyant performers sometimes had to keep their truest selves hidden until the end. 4. Alvin Ailey. Alvin Ailey was more than just a dancer, he was a visionary who reshaped the world of performance. As the founder of the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, he created groundbreaking works that blended beauty, struggle, and truth. His choreography spoke of love, longing, and hidden pain, often expressing what words could not. Behind the brilliance, though, Ailey lived a life of silence. He never came out publicly, even though his art was often seen as a reflection of his own hidden identity. In an America still hostile toward both blackness and queerness, Ailey carried his truth privately, letting the stage become his only confessional. In 1989, he died of AIDS-related complications, but even then, his family announced the cause as a blood disease to shield him from stigma. His silence was not a denial of who he was, but a protection from a world that punished honesty. Today, Alvin Ailey is celebrated as one of the greatest choreographers in history, but his hidden truth shows how even icons had to live in shadows. His story reminds us that some of the most powerful art in history came from lives shaped by secrecy. 3. Luther Vandross. Luther Vandross was the voice of romance. His silky ballads defined generations, earning him Grammy Awards and a devoted fan base of women who adored him. Songs like Never Too Much and Dance with My Father cemented his place as one of the greatest soul singers ever. But behind that timeless voice was a man living a life of silence. Vandross never came out publicly, fearing it would disappoint his mother and devastate his career. In an industry where image was everything, being openly gay was considered career suicide, especially for a black male singer marketed as a romantic icon. Friends and colleagues later confirmed what he never admitted while alive, that Vandross was gay, but too afraid to live openly. When he passed in 2005, fans mourned the loss of a legend without ever knowing his full truth. His documentary, Luther, Never Too Much, has since shed light on the silence he carried. Luther Vandross remains a symbol of musical greatness, but also of how fear forced even the most gifted artists to keep their identities hidden until the very end. 2. Donny Hathaway. Donny Hathaway's voice could move mountains. With songs like A Song for You and The Ghetto, he became one of the most soulful and emotional performers of the 1,970 seconds. On stage, he carried a magic that few could match, but behind the music was a man struggling with inner demons. Hathaway battled paranoid schizophrenia, a condition that made his life increasingly difficult. Yet layered beneath the illness was another struggle, the whispers that he was living a closeted life. In a time when both mental health and homosexuality were stigmatized, Hathaway faced a double silence. His lyrics often carried an ache, a sense of longing that many believe reflected more than just his battles with illness. He was married with children, but rumors about his hidden sexuality followed him throughout his career. In 1979, his life ended tragically when he fell from a hotel window. His pain was never fully understood. Hathaway left the world with timeless music, but also with secrets he never shared. He is remembered as a genius whose brilliance was matched only by his burden, another black star forced to carry his truth quietly to the grave. 1. Cecil Ferguson. Cecil Ferguson never reached the same level of fame as stars like Sammy Davis Jr. or Luther Vandross, but his story is no less powerful. As a black actor in mid-20th century Hollywood, he took on roles that gave representation to a community often shut out of the spotlight. Yet, like so many of his peers, Ferguson carried a private truth he never revealed. Whispers about his relationships with men followed him, but he never dared to confirm anything publicly. In an era when even small rumors of homosexuality could end an actor's career, Ferguson chose to live quietly, hiding parts of himself from the world. His life serves as a reminder that not every hidden story belongs to a household name. Sometimes the silence of lesser-known actors is just as telling. When he passed, Ferguson left behind little more than his film credits. But for those who knew, his truth was part of a larger story. The story of black actors who had to hide their sexuality until death. His name may not be shouted in history books, but his silence echoes alongside the legends. These actors gave the world unforgettable performances, yet they carried secrets that never saw the light of day until it was too late. Their stories prove how Hollywood's silence forced even the brightest stars to hide parts of themselves, leaving behind a legacy wrapped in mystery and pain. But if their truth had been embraced instead of silenced, how different would their lives and Hollywood itself have been? So now the question is yours. How many more untold stories are still hidden in the shadows of fame? If you found yourself moved by these hidden struggles, don't let their voices fade. Hit that subscribe button, share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and keep the conversation alive. Because every untold truth deserves to be heard, and together we can make sure it never stays buried again.